Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The mother of Jesus and his brothers arrived at the house. Standing outside, they sent word to Jesus and called him. A crowd seated around him told him, "Your mother and your brothers and your sisters are outside asking for you." But he said to them in reply, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" And looking around at those seated in the circle, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and my sister and mother." The Gospel of the Lord. Francis de Sales is the saint we honor today, and he was known for helping people to apply the faith in the daily calling of their life and making a distinction about having a faith that was in common with your calling, your vocation in common. So you couldn't be expected as a mother to pray 3 hours a day, according to St. Francis, okay? Otherwise, well, the whole neighborhood would be converging on your house to deal with your screaming children instead of you. So, nevertheless, one of the places that is a common state of life for everyone is to have a family. And you see this morning in the gospel how Jesus situates the will of God right in the household, right in the family. It's in family. The family is the stuff of daily life where a person learns to interact with others, loving the Lord their God and their neighbor as themselves. It's all happening right in the family. With my little nieces, of course, I'm very observant about the boys that come home who want to see them. And one of the things I tell my nieces is pay very close attention to how any boy you're seeing treats his sister and his mother and his father, because that is how he will treat you within 5 years of marriage. Okay? What we learn in the family gets carried over. In a more positive way, I remember as a teenager, in an early time in my teenage years, just became really committed to Christ, reading Scripture, praying. I wasn't even thinking about being a priest at the time, but I was trying everything I could to keep my life centered on Christ. And one of my brothers was going through an interesting stage in his life, let us just say that. And there was some tension between us, mostly because I was spending a lot of time trying to moralize my younger brother. And a very wise priest pulled me aside and he said, "Mo," he said, "you're not his moral policeman. You're his brother. Be his brother." That's the stuff of the family, you know. And not too long after that, my brother borrowed my car, took it after being about a mile away from the house, he got into an accident and messed it up. And strangely enough, it was the grace from the counsel of this priest and the grace of Christ. The first thing I said to him is, "Are you okay?" He couldn't believe that I was more concerned about him than a car that I'd spent over a year restoring. He couldn't believe that I was more concerned about him. And that moved him so much that we're almost 40 years away from that event. And he still remembers that and says it was a turning point in his life because the family did what the family was supposed to do. We love one another. And there's the guts of the obedience to God, being forgiving as he is forgiving, right in the household, being understanding and patient. No relationships are without forgiveness because we have lack of communications and we have little differences and we have our quirks, and so we learn to live with these. But you could say that the mortar between the bricks of forgiveness, the mortar between the bricks of our quirks and getting along is the forgiveness that we give to one another.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui